Episode 26. Dawn approaches. The lamp on the bedside table cast shadows that danced across James's face, hollowing his cheeks and deepening the lines around his eyes. Sarah stood in the doorway, Thomas's hand tight in hers, and felt her breath catch at how frail her father looked against the white pillows. "Papa," Thomas whispered, and the single word carried all the fear and hope of the past 3 days. James's eyes opened, clearer now than they'd been since the surgery, though exhaustion marked every feature. His gaze found Thomas first, then Sarah, and something in his expression softened. "Come here, both of you." Eleanor stepped back from the bedside, making room. Her dress was wrinkled, her hair coming loose from its pins, but her eyes were bright with relief. Sarah had never seen her mother look so exhausted or so fiercely glad. Thomas moved first, rushing forward with the reckless energy of a child who'd been holding terror at bay for too long. He stopped at the edge of the bed, suddenly uncertain, as if afraid his father might shatter. "I won't break," James said, his voice rough but steady, though Dr. Harrison might have something to say about too much jostling. Thomas climbed onto the bed with exaggerated care, settling against James's uninjured side. Sarah followed more slowly, sitting on the edge of the mattress and taking her father's hand. His skin was cool now, the fever that had burned through him finally spent. "You gave us a scare," Sarah said, and was surprised by how her voice caught. James squeezed her hand weakly. "Gave myself one too." His gaze moved to Eleanor, and something passed between them, an understanding forged in the hours when death had been close enough to touch. "Your mother saved my life. Wouldn't let me give up, even when I wanted to." Eleanor's hand found his shoulder, a gesture so tender it made Sarah's throat tighten. "You don't get to leave us, James Mackenzie, not when we've fought this hard to keep what's ours." "The mine," James started, but Eleanor shook her head. "Tomorrow," she said firmly. "Tonight you rest. Tomorrow we'll talk about what comes next." James looked like he wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. His eyes drifted closed, though his hand remained in Sarah's. "Stay," he murmured, "just for a while." They stayed until his breathing deepened into sleep, Thomas curled against him like a much younger child seeking comfort. Sarah felt the weight of the past days settling into her bones. The terror of the ride to Medicine Hat, the endless wait during surgery, the vigil while fever consumed him. And beneath it all, the memory of Daniel's hands on her skin, his voice against her ear. "I love you." Eleanor touched Sarah's shoulder. "Go," she said softly. "Get some rest. I'll stay with him." "Mama, I know you haven't slept properly since we arrived. Go to your room. I'll wake you if anything changes." Sarah wanted to protest, but the exhaustion was suddenly overwhelming. She stood, legs unsteady, and bent to kiss her father's forehead. His skin was cool, no trace of fever remaining. The relief that washed through her was so profound it left her dizzy. She slipped from the room, closing the door softly behind her. The hallway was dim, lit only by a single lamp at the far end. The hotel was quiet, most guests already asleep. Somewhere below she could hear the murmur of voices from the saloon. Medicine Hat never truly slept, not with the railroad bringing travelers at all hours. Her room was 3 doors down. Sarah pushed inside, then stopped. Daniel sat in the chair by the window, his profile silvered by moonlight. He turned as she entered, rising quickly. "I heard your mother come get you. Is he?" His fever broke. Sarah closed the door and leaned against it, suddenly aware of how her hands were shaking. "Dr. Harrison says he'll live if there's no relapse." Daniel crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. Sarah buried her face against his chest, feeling the solid warmth of him, the steady beat of his heart. For a moment, she just breathed, letting herself be held. "I was so afraid," she whispered. "When I saw him on that bed, so pale. I know." Daniel's hand moved in slow circles on her back. "But he's through the worst of it now. He's strong, Sarah. He'll recover." She pulled back enough to look up at him. "You stayed. Where else would I be?" His thumb traced her cheekbone, gentle and sure. "I told you, I'm not going anywhere." The words should have been simple, but they carried weight. Sarah thought of all the times she'd faced crisis alone, shouldering burdens too heavy for one person. The habit of solitude ran deep, carved by years of necessity. But Daniel was here, had been here through every moment of the past 3 days, steady as stone. "Come to bed," she said quietly. "I just need to feel you beside me." They undressed in comfortable silence, the awkwardness of earlier intimacy replaced by something deeper. Sarah climbed beneath the quilt in her chemise and drawers, and Daniel followed, pulling her against him so her back rested against his chest. His arms settled around her waist, his breath warm against her hair. "Sleep," he murmured. "I've got you." Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the exhaustion pull at her. But her mind wouldn't quiet. "Samuel should arrive tomorrow," she said, "with whatever information Blackburn has about the consortium." "Tomorrow," Daniel agreed. "Tonight, just rest. There's so much to do. We need to meet with Whitmore, figure out our legal strategy. The mine is unguarded. Anyone could." "Sarah," Daniel's voice was gentle but firm. "Your father nearly died 3 days ago. You've barely slept since. Whatever comes next, you need to be strong enough to face it. That means rest." She wanted to argue, but the weight of his arm around her, the warmth of his body, the steady rhythm of his breathing, it all conspired to pull her down into darkness. Her last conscious thought was that she'd never felt so safe. Sarah woke to gray light filtering through the window and the distant sound of wagon wheels on the street below. For a moment she was disoriented, caught between sleep and waking, then awareness returned in a rush. Daniel still held her, though he'd shifted in sleep so her head rested on his shoulder. His face in repose looked younger, the worry lines smoothed away. Sarah studied him in the dawn light, the strong line of his jaw, the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the way his hair fell across his forehead. This man loves me, she thought, and the knowledge was both thrilling and terrifying. And I love him. His eyes opened, meeting hers immediately. "Morning," he said, his voice rough with sleep. "Morning." Sarah traced his collarbone with one finger. "Did you sleep?" "Better than I have in days." He caught her hand, brought it to his lips. "How do you feel?" "Stronger." It was true, the exhaustion still lingered, but the bone-deep terror had eased. "Papa's going to live. We can face whatever comes next." A knock at the door made them both freeze. Eleanor's voice came through the wood, carefully neutral. "Sarah, are you awake?" Sarah sat up quickly, pulling the quilt around her shoulders. "Yes, Mama. Is Papa?" "He's fine, sleeping peacefully. But Samuel Thornton just arrived. He's downstairs with information from Mr. Blackburn. He says it's urgent." Sarah and Daniel exchanged glances. "We'll be down in 10 minutes, Sarah called. They dressed quickly, not speaking, but moving around each other with the ease of people who'd already learned each other's rhythms. Sarah braided her hair with practiced efficiency, pinned it into place, then turned to find Daniel watching her. "What?" she asked. "Just thinking how much I love you," he said simply. The words still had the power to steal her breath. Sarah crossed to him, rose on her toes, and kissed him, quick and fierce. "I love you too. Now let's go see what Samuel has to say." They found him in the hotel's small dining room, a cup of coffee growing cold in front of him. He looked like he'd ridden hard, dust on his clothes, exhaustion in the lines around his eyes. But he stood when they entered, relief crossing his face. "Sarah, Daniel." He glanced toward the stairs. "Your mother said James's fever broke. That's good news." "The best we've had in days," Sarah agreed, sitting across from him. Daniel took the chair beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. "What did you learn from Blackburn?" Samuel pulled a folded packet of papers from his coat. "He's been documenting everything, the consortium's operations, the names of everyone involved, the pattern of murders and claim jumping. It's all here." He pushed the papers across the table. "But there's more. He thinks they'll make another move soon. They know James was injured in the attack, and they'll assume the family is scattered and vulnerable. The mine," Sarah said. "They'll go for the mine. Blackburn thinks so. He wanted me to tell you. If they can't take it legally or by force, they might try to destroy it. Collapse the shafts, make it look like an accident. Then they can claim the land is worthless and buy it cheap." Daniel swore softly. "How long do we have?" "Days, maybe. Blackburn's consolidated with my family at our homestead. We're keeping watch, but we're spread thin. If they come in force..." Samuel shook his head. "We need the law involved, Sarah. The mounted police. Someone with authority to arrest these men before they kill anyone else." "Whitmore's in town," Sarah said. "We need to meet with him, show him this documentation. If it's enough to get the police involved." "It might be." Eleanor's voice came from the doorway. She moved into the room, Thomas trailing behind her. But we need to be smart about this. If the consortium learns we have this much evidence, they'll move faster. Samuel nodded. Blackburn said the same thing. He thinks there's a leak somewhere, someone in Medicine Hat feeding them information. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Sarah thought of the stranger who'd been asking questions at the land office, the professional investigator watching when they filed the mining claim. How many eyes were on them? How many people had been bought? Then we keep this quiet, Eleanor said. Samuel, you should rest before you ride back. Sarah, find Whitmore and arrange a private meeting, somewhere away from his office where we won't be observed. Daniel. I'll stand watch, Daniel said. Make sure no one's following Sarah or listening at doors. Eleanor studied him for a moment, then nodded. Thank you. She looked at each of them in turn. We're close to something here. I can feel it, but we need to be careful. One wrong move and we lose everything. Sarah took the papers Samuel had brought, feeling their weight. Names, evidence, proof of murder and conspiracy. If they could get this to the right people, if they could make someone listen. But Eleanor was right. They were walking a knife's edge now. One slip and they'd fall. I'll find Whitmore, Sarah said. Get him somewhere private where we can talk freely. She stood, and Daniel rose with her. Their eyes met, and in his gaze she saw everything she needed. Love, trust, determination. Samuel cleared his throat. There's one more thing Blackburn wanted me to tell you. He's found something in his investigation, a connection between the consortium and someone here in Medicine Hat, someone in a position of authority. Sarah's blood ran cold. Who? He wouldn't say. Said it was too dangerous to put in writing, and he needed to be certain before making accusations. Samuel met her eyes. But he thinks this person has been helping the consortium from the beginning, feeding them information, blocking investigations, making sure their crimes stayed hidden. The implications crashed through Sarah like a wave. Someone in authority, someone who could manipulate the law, who had access to official documents, who could make evidence disappear. Someone they might be about to trust with everything. Then we tell no one, Eleanor said quietly. Not until we know who we can trust. Sarah looked down at the papers in her hands, feeling the weight of all they represented. Somewhere in Medicine Hat, an enemy walked freely, wearing the mask of respectability. And if they made the wrong choice about who to trust, they'd hand their enemies exactly what they needed to destroy them. The morning sun broke through the window, painting everything in shades of gold. Outside, Medicine Hat was waking. Merchants opening shops, wagons rolling down the street, the ordinary business of frontier life continuing as if the world wasn't balanced on a precipice. Sarah folded the papers carefully and tucked them inside her bodice, close to her heart. Then we'd better figure out who that is, she said, before they figure out what we know.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.